Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my Skylines series Japan. Today we're on episode 6, and today we are once again working on a train station like in the last episode. This will be part 2 of part 3 of this train station. If you haven't seen the first part, what we did there is kind of like a small summarize. We planned out how we wanted to have everything, and we just laid down the first kind of tracks. Nothing too special. The tracks will be kind of changed later on, also already a bit in this episode and even more in the 8th episode. They should be kind of like on the state that I want them to be. But yes, first of all, what are we doing today? Today we are mostly kind of like making the north side of the train station. We're making some planning steps, and at first I wanted to scrap all of this episode because it's just simply me building stuff and deleting it once again, but I felt like this would be perfect to have a little bit of a talk about how we want to kind of like lay out a city and how I feel like we should be detailing it, and also kind of like need a lot of help from you guys. And let's get straight to the point. What I need your help is the public space usage. How is Japan and Japanese cities, how are they using actually these public spaces? Because everything that I found out is that they are either building and kind of like parking lot when it is on a kind of like more dense area, or they're building a park, or they're building kind of like a shrine thing, or they're building kind of like infrastructure for maintenance areas. This is kind of like the feeling that I got. Maybe also sometimes some plazas, but this feels like to me it is really it. And kind of like the more cultural areas are the markets, and one thing that is pretty big for the culture thing are the kind of like shrines, the parks. Because what I kind of like have read is that a lot of the old people are meeting in parks and are just basically playing some, I think, board games and card games mostly, and reading newspaper. And this is kind of like the cultural area that I found out about kind of like the normal living person there. So the normal peasant, I would say. I'm defining myself also as a peasant as an information. So kind of like where all the normal people are meeting that aren't kind of like now in a high political state or kind of like in a place of a royal family or anything like this. So it kind of feels like me that a lot of the public life is going on in parks. Please, if you are from Japan or if you know quite a lot about Japan, please write this down in the comments down below for me. I would definitely need to know this because I didn't know that much about it, and I would love to get this right and kind of like to get the feeling right. And for the point of getting the feeling right, I feel like this one big building next to the kind of expressway curve is pretty realistic for Japan. I looked at a lot of them, and they mostly have 5 to 10 of these big skyscrapers in the kind of downtown areas and the skyrise areas. And so I thought about, I need to do something with this, and then there you can already see I'm experimenting once again, and I'm trying to kind of like add more of the same time and just elevate them up, just kind of like to give more of this in-depth look. And I liked it at first, but we'll have to see about that. And yeah, this is basically the help that I need from you. Please write it down in the comments down below, and also if you kind of like aren't sure about it, please write it down, and then I can basically also check it by myself if you're not sure about it, and then we can have a little talk about this in the comments. I would highly appreciate this. This is kind of like one of the best help that you could give me, and kind of like one of the best ways to participate in a series also, kind of like to see that your stuff that you wish me to build, that we're building in a series. And yes, another thing that I wanted to say is a kind of usage that I already saw and that I want to implement is that I have a lot of elevated pathways. So Japanese cities have a lot of them. They are about, I feel like from 4 to 8 meters in the height. Normally a kind of like a pedestrian walkway networks above the street, so that I can kind of like get rid of the pedestrians that are going on the street and that are blocking intersections. And this is kind of like a genius idea in my opinion, because once you're saving the kind of like pedestrians and you are not cluttering your intersections too much. You only have the roads there, and you only have the cars there and buses, stuff like this. So this is a pretty genius idea. Also, I had a pretty hard time to actually find an kind of like intersection of the train lines with the streets in Tokyo, and also in Kyoto, I should say. So they have kind of like this extremely separated network. Only when you go kind of in the outskirts, like 10 to 20 kilometers outside of the downtown centers, you can slowly see them appear. And yes, this is a thing that I would kind of like also imagine to build into my town and kind of like to add in there. yeah, so please let me know what you think about that. And if you are kind of like this Japan expert, I would love to, if you could hit me up in the comments. And if you want to have kind of like a longer talk, we can definitely do this on Discord via voice, or if you want via messages, you can just kind of decide for this. I'm up to both of them. And yeah, this would be great. So simply hit me up in the comments, and then we can have a little talk there at first, and then we see how it goes. And yes, there for the train station. The upper one should be the Shinkansen, and yes, I know this is not realistic. We will be switching off the station soon. The station will be the, what was it called? The one from Raleigh, the big one. The big Shinkansen station, basically. Because I feel like it is perfectly fitting in here, and it's giving kind of like the perfect shape of it. And it's also kind of like making this valley thing for the train tracks. You will see what I mean with this in the next episode. Then there will be also the cinematics about this whole area, so definitely stay tuned for that. I'm simply not putting them in there because this would be a massive spoiler, by the way, but I felt like I don't want to spoil you too much about it, so yeah, we will see. You will see it, better said. There, for the elevated pathways, I will go with something kind of like in red, I feel like. I feel this red is giving kind of like a good contrast with the color of the roads and of the color of the expressways. So this is kind of like giving a color cut in there to make it kind of like more color corrected. I feel like that's a pretty cool thing. In the last episode I asked you if you want to see more of the planning steps that I'm doing, and you said yes, so I will be doing more of them. I will be showing them also in the videos. And then we can also already have a talk about them once I'm making them, because this is kind of like an interaction that I would love to have with you guys. Because I can kind of like get in what you kind of think about my video and what you think about the style. This is one of the most important points for me to see if you're even interested in it, or how I can make it more interesting for you guys. Because I'm always kind of struggling with this. And I feel like I'm doing it not too much, so yeah, I should definitely be kind of like expanding it. Here I'm building a staircase, just a simple one at first. And I'm not finishing it, but I said I'm finishing it, but then I'm deleting it again, but I will need to do more of this kind of like infrastructure, and I haven't seen that many elevators. I've seen quite a lot of them around the more dense areas and more commute areas, but not too many except for that places. So I will have to kind of like read more about this to see kind of to say more about this, but I feel like they don't have them that much there. Maybe I'm completely wrong there. Please correct me if I am wrong. And yes. Also, once again, sorry that the quality of my videos is kind of like reducing right now, and that it isn't that often that I upload. Main reason for this is simply that school is pretty rough right now. I don't have that much time for YouTube. Actually, the recording is from I think 2 weeks ago. I haven't opened a game since that once, and I think I won't be able to until, let me think. I feel like in 2 weeks I should be able to once again. So I still have one video that I have to edit, that's fine, but then I will have to kind of see how I want to do this. Maybe it will also won't be Skylines content. I'm having there something planned, but I won't say too much about this. You will be seeing this by yourself later on, but I feel like you guys will enjoy it, so this is more a positive thing for you guys. Now here, I'm adding it in, and it is so massive, I like it. It's kind of like giving this massive feel, because most of these train lines of Shinkansen are extremely massive. They are immense in my opinion, so yeah, had to do it, sorry. But yeah, we will be kind of like pushing down the one that is crossing over all of them. Like this direct one there that is going kind of like in not a 90-degree angle, I think it's a 40 or 40-degree angle. And this one will be pushed down to the ground and sunken into the ground. The reason for this will be hidden. This will be kind of like a service station to get all of the trains working. And actually the train station is working, I have to say. I'm sorry also that my voice is so weird. I'm allergic to a lot of trees and stuff like this, and right now it's pretty bad with my allergies? With my allergic reactions, I should say. But yes, so everything there, what you can see there, is functional. You can have people will be arriving into a town through Shinkansen, and then they will be split off by it. We won't have a highway entrance for now. We will be building it later on for sure, but for now I simply don't have a use for it, and I don't know how I want to build it. I'm still trying to figure out how to make a realistic looking Japanese highway, because they are not that simply like the Shuto ones where you can just simply kind of like take the Shuto network and then just simply be like, yes, and now it just will add the kind of like tool booth thing, the tool booth gates, and then I'm fine with it. Because if you don't know how Shuto systems work, Shuto expressways are basically elevated expressways where you have to pay through an online card when you want to drive on them, and they're mostly in, I think they're only in Japan, I'm not sure. In Tokyo, I think they are only. No, not in Tokyo, but I think also in the other cities they have them, but they are kind of like from other companies, but not companies, other names, I should say. But this is a kind of a thing that I want to add for realism, is to kind of like have the small tool booths where some cars will stop, some other can drive through. And I would have to see how I do this with the in-game mechanics, to have some people stop and some just drive through. Maybe on the left side I will make it with a stop sign, and then on the right one they can just go head on there. It's kind of like the people that are paying with a GPS, not GPS, how's it called? With an RFID chip, I think it is done. I'm not sure. If you know about this once again, please correct me. There is a lot of assumptions in this video of how it is done in real life, but I think that's the way how they are doing it. Also, here I'm adding in some gravel, and I'm duplicating the train station because I want to have 2 train lines there, and this would be kind of like better looking, and this would be kind of like showing more that it's the main station, because this would be the main arrival place. This should be big in my opinion. This should be one of the biggest places in there. And now we're just connecting them up so that we kind of like have the possibility to switch them for the realism purpose, that when you have kind of like a lot of chaos going on there and you have a lot of people that wanted to go somewhere, you can just simply kind of take a train and put it to the other side, to the other platform, to keep everything else in time and not to have any complete traffic chaos there. I feel like this is one of the most realistic additions that I can do there. And yes, this is basically what I wanted to go for. But I said at first I didn't want to go for this. I wanted to go for the buff design, but the buff design is too hard to make with the Shuto. Not with the Shuto, with the Shinkansen station. We might have I'm right now considering. Either there will be an elevated metro above it, or there might be, these are just kind of like some ideas that I have right now, or this might be a monorail above it. But we will see about this. I still don't know how to do monorails or metros to do it realistic for the Japanese area. As I already said, while I'm doing this whole series, I'm just learning a lot about Japan and how it's done. And this is just simply a thing where I have to say thank you to 3 specific persons. I think you are known that you meant. It is basically like, only because of these 3 people we are here where we are right now. And from 2, I don't remember the name right now. I'm sorry, I will write it down in the comments hopefully, but one of them is definitely Kima. Thank you very much for your help. You helped me so much, and also he kind of gave me some tips how and where I can kind of learn Japanese, at least on a very low level, I should say. I still don't know anything close to. I'm still trying to learn kind of like some science and some stuff like this, just so that I can kind of see what I'm actually placing, because I feel like this would be important. So I also might be able to do more into this direction once school isn't that heavy like it is right now. But yes, after all this nonsense, I have to say thank you for that you stuck with me. Thank you to watch this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like this video. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to me. I'm trying to do some good uploads and trying to keep my quality high. And I'm trying to kind of like have at least some knowledge about Japanese areas. Hopefully it's not too bad. If you are from Japan, I would appreciate if you'd help me with it. And yes, thank you for sticking with me. Have a great day, and hopefully see you another time. Bye!